I've said it before and I'll say it again. Don't give up. A while ago I made a video showing you how to get 50,000 points in Junimo Kart, complete with some useful tips to help you beat Mayor Lewis's score. In this video I'm going to take you on the next step of the journey, beating Progress Mode. And once again I'll include some helpful tips for you to get through all the levels. So strap in, keep your arms and legs inside the minecart at all times, and let's begin. Progress Mode in Junimo Kart differs from Endless Mode in a few ways. Firstly, it ends. That much should be pretty obvious. In addition to that, the levels are longer, but you also start off with 3 lives, with the ability to get more. In some ways, it's a lot more forgiving than Endless Mode. As you make your way through the levels, you can collect coins and fruit. If you collect 100 coins, you get an extra life immediately. Each fruit you collect is worth 10 coins. And like Endless Mode, there are 3 fruits per level. Collecting all 3 will also give you an extra life at the end of the level. The game ends when you complete 6 main levels, however, some of these levels are selected at random. Before I talk you through my winning run, I'll explain the order of the levels. Level 1 should be familiar to anyone who has tried Junimo Kart. It's the Crumble Cavern. When you first play the game, you'll play this level over and over, dying many times, but don't get disheartened. Use it as a means to practice jumping. Remember, the longer you hold down that jump button, the further you will go, so get that muscle memory trained. The second level is usually the slippery slopes. However, if you manage to collect all the coins and fruits in the Crumble Cavern and not die, you will unlock an alternate second level, the Mystery level. It literally has no name other than a bunch of question marks. The third level of the game can either be the Gem Sea Giant, or Bubble Fucker as I like to call him, or Slomp Stomp, aka Shrek at Home. This is selected at random, and personally I find Slomp a lot easier than the Sea Giant, but have had enough practice dying many times to him that I finally got used to beating him. Level 4 is always the Ghastly Galleon. It's the first real fast level, so you'll want to make sure you have your quick and long jumping down for this. Level 5 is either the Glow Shroom Grotto or the Red Hot Roller Coaster. I'm a big fan of the roller coaster. It's really fast but gives you a lot of coins, so you have the chance for extra lives. But you need to have great reaction times. The Glow Shroom Grotto is by far the most horrible level in the game and should not exist. The good news is the difficulty got nerfed in the 1.6 update of the game, so this may be proof that there is a god. The final level is the Sunset Speedway. You will need patience and nerves of steel to navigate this tricky and very long level. Chances are when you first get here you will die pretty much instantly, as the jumps are unlike previous levels. Did I mention something about not giving up? With all this in mind, let's get a winning run underway now. I'll keep the commentary to a minimum, just explaining certain choices I made as well as highlighting mistakes that could have cost me the game. Enjoy watching me beat Junimo Kart. So I find the first level quite easy now because I've played it a number of times. In this case I would always say try to get the fruits. I won't say that for every level, but for this level it's certainly worth it. It's a great level to use as a practice platform and also a method of gaining lives. These rocks that fall from the ceiling, you want to avoid those, but if there's no way to avoid them, try to jump on them, because jumping on them won't kill you. Watch out for the downward slopes in this level. If you go at them at full speed and then launch, you will go very fast, so you've got to make sure you know exactly where you're going to land. This level always looks a lot more difficult than it actually is. It can be tricky with the barriers, sometimes they place them in very odd locations, making it extremely difficult to win. But it's another great level to use for farming lives as there's a lot of easy coins to get. Note those lanterns, they are checkpoints. Every time you die, you return back to your most previous lantern. Levels like these early on in the game have many lanterns. As you get further on, they become fewer and fewer. As you see there, I just launched off of that slope, not thinking about where I was going. So I took it slower the second time. I always used to say, stay high up in this level. However, after playing it a number of times, I've found that the best strategy is actually to stay low. Another very important thing to remember on this level is when you see jumps of a single gap, you don't actually have to jump over it. Because of the way the water works and how slow it is and the gravity or whatever, you'll just bounce straight off of the lower jumps. And that could be really useful if there's a bubble right on top of your head. You may not get all the fruits in this level, and that's absolutely fine, just focus on getting through it. As you see there, I didn't plan the jump correctly and so I died. This one is very tricky. That instant death there is because I didn't make a small jump that I needed to. And again, the ghost got me that time. So there's all these things you got to watch out for. Tricky barriers, long and short jumps, and the ghosts. See those quick jumps? You've got to really practice getting that quick click on your mouse or on your gamepad. These long jumps, you've got to go right to the edge of the platform and launch yourself off, pressing the button as long as possible to ensure you get the furthest jump you can. This level is slightly longer than other ones, and as a result you do get a lot more coins, so it's a great way to get some more lives. It's important to note here, when your lives are below 3, when you die, they automatically go back up to 3 again. So if you're on 3 lives and you lose a life and then you start stressing out that you've lost a life, don't worry, because it'll just go back to 3. Now surprisingly enough, I managed to beat the game on this particular run with both the Sea Gem Giant and the Mushrooms, which are my 2 worst levels, and yet somehow I managed to do it. With these mushrooms, you've really got to take care. Firstly, the purple ones, as you can see, one lowers and the other raises, which is very important when you're trying to get to another platform, but if you stay on it for too long, then it will either go too high or too low and you won't be able to make the jump. This was a very lucky save. This little puffer is very annoying. Previously there used to be 2 right next to each other. Now they've nerfed that, so there's only ever 1 at a time, which makes things a lot easier, but you see how many times it got me. But I did manage to make it, and you see even with less than 3 lives, I die, my lives go back up to 3 again. So I'm going into the last level with only 3 lives. This level is super tricky, mainly because of the speed at which it runs, but also the uncertainty of where the tracks are. If you don't pay attention, looking ahead of you at all times, you're not going to know exactly where you're going to land. So with this level, the trick is to constantly be looking towards the right hand side of the screen and then planning your jumps in advance, because you have to make sure you land on the right platform, otherwise it won't work. Furthermore, to make it even more difficult, they have reduced the number of checkpoints that you have, some having huge gaps between checkpoints. So when you die, you basically go all the way back to a long time ago. I was very lucky with this run that it wasn't too difficult. I had previous runs where I died on the same spot with 5 or 6 lives. So there is an element of luck in this game, as every level is randomly generated. You don't know what you're going to get. There's only so much amount of planning you can do. There is skill, but there's also a lot of luck. And there you go. When you finally beat Progress Mode, you can get your very own Junimo Kart arcade machine that you can keep in your farmhouse. Or, you know, throw directly into a trash heap and set alight, smiling in glee as you watch the plastic controls melt into a toxic puddle of your sweat and tears, knowing that you will never need to play this game again. You did it. You beat Junimo Kart. Now you can get back to farming. Or perhaps you want to try your luck at that other arcade game, Prairie King. Oh, but Prairie King is so tough. If only someone who beat it made a video to show you how it's done.